In this episode, we will paint a snowy owl, one of my favorite owls. And yes, I know we did it before long ago, but as a special request of many of my students, it will be a flying owl. And we will visit the North Island Wildlife Recovery Center in Arrington and donate a painting to the center. My name is Michael Schutte, and thank you for watching Painting the Island. Hello and welcome in my studio. You might have noticed today we have a snow owl. To save some time, I already made a sketch in English red, and it looks a bit messy, but don't you worry, he will fly. Have some fun, enjoy, and at work. As always, we start from the back to the front. And yes, it's gonna be a cold, grey, bluish world over there. So we can mix burnt umber with ultramarine blue and make a bluish black. We can do that to add a bit more blue to the mix. Then we do a little test, add some white and see how it looks like. For more snowy effects, we can mix titanium white and phthalo blue with a small touch of cadmium yellow light. We make 3 different tones of all the colors: light, middle and dark. And these mixes will be a great background snow color. For the rest, we mix a bit of purple for the far away colors, but not too much. And for this color we can use ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson, and of course with a touch of titanium white. For the background, we will keep it all blurry and misty, and we will create a faraway snowy mountain landscape covered with snow mountain slopes and the illusion of trees loaded with snow. And while the temperature outside is 30 degrees Celsius, we are painting this super cold environment. Refreshing, shall I say. Well, as long as our little friend is happy, we are happy too. A long time ago, I think it was in the episode of Quebec, we did a snowy owl too, but he was sitting. And I had a lot of requests of students of doing another snow owl, but then flying. Well, here he is, the largest predator of the high Arctic, and yes, one of the largest owls in the world. Yes, he is not modest. Snowy owls are about 6th or 7th heaviest living owls on average owls in the world, and this owl is the heaviest and longest winged owl in North America. He is even bigger than the great gray owl, and he is really big. Once in my life I saw a big owl like that flying, and I couldn't believe how big he was. I thought this must be a creature from another world. No, it was just a big owl. And yes, he loves the cold. So no, you won't meet him on a sunny beach in Hawaii, no way. Later I will tell you more about the snowy white giant, and for now I will skip a bit because this must be so boring for you. Let's start with the eyes. You know my motto, when the eyes are good, the portrait is already for 80% done. Not really true, but it has at least a soul. And some people think the eyes are the windows of your soul. We start with a bit of orange, and as a shadow, a bit of dark ochre with a small amount of burnt sienna. The pupil will be really dark, almost black. And for now, we're gonna give it a rest. No light yet, and yeah, for a while, he will look like a ghost. But it's always the case with first layers. Be advised, it's gonna get ugly. It's gonna get ugly at the start with a dull ground layer, mostly grayish. And if you ever get stuck, remember we will start soon with new courses in painting. So feel free to check our website. And yes, when you paint in layers like we do, it can be a bit of a challenge at the start. But results are amazing. The Dutch masters knew that oil paint is transparent, and their glazing techniques were fantastic. Check them out. Later, you will see how this ugly ducky will get decorated and comes to his full beauty just by adding up layers. It's almost magic. But for now, we keep it grayish with a small touch of a middle ochre tone. Remember the ochre, a lighter crimson, bit of white, and with long brush strokes in the direction of the feathers, will give a good basic cover of the wing. Until now, I did most of the painting with a small round brush, but from here we can use a filbert brush, not too big, and we can add bigger brush strokes. And with a light aftertouch, the paint will melt into a nice ground layer. Yes, this is gonna cost a lot of time. And I think I was filming and painting for more than 14 hours in a row. And I thought, how can I edit all this footage back into 45 minutes? Well, I will move up the speed here and there and cut out some parts we actually not really need to see. So you might think, oh boy, that guy is fast. Well, on the contrary, I'm slow as molasses from Italy. But luckily, the digital techniques will help to make it an interesting show. I hope. Well, I do my best. And yes, you had to wait a bit for the show, but after moving the store and the studios to our new location in Qualicum Beach, we needed a little vacation. On the left wing, we can do the same technique as we did on the right wing. So here we can speed up a bit. See, it looks like magic, but it's not. Just speeding up, that's what it is. Same technique, bring it up and blend it in. You can see I added a bit of an ochre tone in the gray, and that will be a great background for all decorations we're gonna paint later in the show. The head, the body and the tail will get more or less the same treatment, and here and there we can bring in a dark gray as a shadow. I know it's always hard to paint an animal who is completely white, or in painters' terms, light. It is the same with making a portrait of a white or light doggy. If you take a good look, there's always a lot of gray and dark tones also. It depends how the light falls, but there will be shadows, light and dark tones, so we never can say that they are completely white or black. Actually, there are two colors who don't exist in nature: white and black. Those are man-made colors or ideas. The Dutch masters always said, in the deepest dark is always some light, and in the brightest light is always some shadow. Check it out. If you keep this in mind, you will never make the mistake to paint something or someone completely white or black. However, our Grandmaster Rembrandt was a champion in kicking holy houses in the art scene. He didn't use middle tones. He went from extreme light to extreme dark, at least in his last years, something his clients didn't always appreciate. He loved heavy shadows. You might know his famous painting The Night Watch from Amsterdam. Every person on that painting should pay Rembrandt 100 Dutch florins or guilders. When it was finished, a couple of clients gave him only 50 florins. When Rembrandt said, "Why do you do this?" the answer was, "Rembrandt, you painted only half of my face, of half of me. The rest is in shadow." So Rembrandt lost a lot of money with these techniques, not knowing how famous he would be a few hundred years later. But this did not help him at that time when he needed that money so desperately. In the meantime, I started decorating our birdie. I let the painting drying for a few days, and with a dark grey tone, not completely black, we can add all the feathers starting at the top of the wing. A lot of work, I know. We use a very small round brush and lean your hand on the palette stick to take the pressure away. And it might be a good idea to study some photos of snowy owls and see how those little decos look like. It's more complicated than you think. In the meantime, I started decorating our little birdie. I let the painting drying for a few days, and with a dark grey tone, not completely black, we can add all the feathers starting at the top of the wing. For these decos, we use a very small round brush and lean your hand on the palette stick to take the pressure away. And it might be a good idea to study some photos of snowy owls and see how these little feathers look like. It's more complicated than you think. It's not only lines. It is indeed a nature masterpiece of knitting, and it has a purpose like anything else in nature. In fact, this soldier has a giant camouflage suit, which works great if he's hiding from a tree or a bunch of snowy branches. Other owls have those also. Watch the docu we made in Naira when we saw a big uhu owl on a branch. When it sits still and you look globally over the forest, you won't notice him. Till the moment he moves, a masterpiece of nature. Before we go on, it's time for a little break. Welcome to our new lesson center in Qualicum Beach, where I teach music and art, and my wife Els card making and scrapbooking. For inspiration, I show you a few of my paintings, and if you ever want to improve your painting techniques, I'm always willing to help you and show you the most fantastic techniques of the Dutch masters. These interesting wet and wet techniques will certainly help you to improve your paintings. Above all, you will be able to create more depth and perspective in your paintings and improve your color mixing. My sweet wife Els is well known on the island for her original 3D card creations, and if you ever want to make more of your cards or scrapbooking, she is certainly willing to help you. In the shortest time, you will be able to make the most fantastic cards, but also beautiful, magical scrapbook creations. Enjoy our cards for a moment. Most of our friends know that I love to support the North Island Wildlife Recovery Center in Arrington with this show and, of course, with my paintings. This summer, we visited the center again for a new donation, and let me show you the visit.
It's such a long time that we've been here, and so good to see all the old friends I painted, and let's say hello to everybody. We are here in the North Island Wildlife Recovery Center, and it's 30 degrees outside, but I'm going to donate to Sylvia a painting in the snow. How's that, Sylvia?
Well, I'm pretty happy about getting his painting. Actually, you've given us so many things in the past, and it's helped us immensely in helping care for the animals. So I am so thankful for that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and like I said, as long as Painting the Island is going on Rogers Television, we will certainly support you.
Appreciate it.
Enjoy the painting. Yeah, snow keeps the head cool in the heat. I always love to see the Ravensong canoe. It is made from a 540 years old tree and donated by the First Nations of BC, designed by Bill Helen in the traditional Chim Shan style of the war canoes. But you need certainly a lot of people to row this canoe. And now we have to move on because I want to visit our good old friend Sandor.
We are at the property of Sandor. And Sandor is not in the mood to come outside. He makes a few sounds, but it's maybe too long ago that we met.
But the sweet voice of Els broke the ice and Sandor decided to give us audience and was suddenly in the mood to have a chat with us. And this in his own cool style. And as a real performer, he showed us a few singing and dance moves of his latest show. On our way to Dansmook Wildlife Garden, we had an unexpected meeting with a giant owl. he paid a friendly visit with his encaged recovering inmates, and that was a great opportunity for me to exercise with my giant television camera on my shoulder and do an amateuristic zoom in without stand, which is totally wrong, I know, but the owl is absolutely amazing and beautiful. And during our walk we discovered the new bear pavilion. When you visit the center, don't miss it.
Now this part is totally new, the bear pavilion. Let's take a look inside.
The pavilion was developed to highlight the vital role of the black bears and also the ecological importance of old-grown forests. We see lifelike bear displays, educational exhibits focused on bear behavior and habitat. And the fantastic displays blew me away. When you walk through this pavilion, you got a real impression how big these bears are in reality. And I must not think to meet one during my morning walk. Oh boy, these guys are tall. And sorry for the dark footage, but we didn't want to disturb the visitors with bright lights. If you visit the center, walk in the pavilion, it's absolutely fantastic. And coming outside, we discovered that Casey had a friend, the white raven. He's a bit shy, but it's good for Casey to have a friend. And with a final look in the baby room, where a hungry baby is trying to eat his dish, we say goodbye and we're gonna turn back to the painting of our snowy owl. Yes, it is a magic world over there, and we're moving up to the rest of the wing. The inside decos are getting more weak as we go to the right. The trick is that we hardly do any pressure on the bristles, and they are getting thinner and thinner and a bit lighter. And in between I added some light ochre tones. Yes, this painting needs a lot of techniques, and above all, patience. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle. If you ever get bored or have nothing to do, start painting birdies. No AI, no computers, just the honest handwork. Music and art are taking you away from all the stress of the world, and it's proven it will bring your mind at ease. And if you ever want to try to paint, we are here to help you, no worries. At the top of the wing, I did a touch of purple and black, because it is in the shadow. However, the bottom feathers are catching the late light, so we give it a touch of highlight. And yes, this birdie has two wings, so at the other side we're gonna create the same feather pack. We start at the very top with dark feathers, and in between we can do a few brush strokes with a light middle ochre tone. Remember the ochre, alizarin crimson and white. This is why it is so good to have 3 tones for every mix you made. Light, middle and dark, like I said before. And above all, you can improvise in between the tones. It's really very handy, and remember, if you need some advice, we are here to help. To the inside of the wing, we can do the same technique. The more to the left, the less pressure on the brush and maybe a bit lighter color tone. From here, we can follow the same techniques as we saw on the right wing. And as it's exactly the same, I will skip this part for now. I don't want you to fall asleep. Okay, it's gonna get a bit more exciting now. We make the tail a bit more fluffy, just as we did with the body. And we can do this with a soft filbert brush and a blender brush. Start with some gray, and over that we give it a light wash with a middle light ochre tone. And then we blend it in. Let's give him a tiny touch more dark here on the left side. For us on the right side, but this is left tail, right? So I want to give it a bit more dark. Then we fluff it in slowly with a light tone upwards. And when you think he's fluffy enough, let's repair the eyes. With a small round brush, we give him a bit more color, and it might be dark yellow with a touch of orange, and in the pupil we give him a soft highlight with a very light gray, and now he's looking you right into the eyes. We do the same with the beak, a little bit more dark, and on the top a very light gray. Let's give him a little touch more in the eyes. He also needs a moustache, but that will come later. Let's first work on the tail. It's the same game. With a small round brush we can start painting these little decos like we did before. Very tiny, and yes, it will take some patience. Put up on peaceful music, your brain on 0, and there you go. Slowly moving forward, one by one. And I know it's a lot of hours work, but very rewarding. And nobody will know how the heck you did it. And yes, it's starting to look like a tail. And you probably guessed we have to paint the other side too. So here we go again, and we dive right into it. This guy needs his tail to keep his balance. And oh boy, he is in trouble when he loses it. But this one is flying proudly to the snowy heavens. He is the king of the sky. And while we're busy with the beautiful owl, it might be good to know that I make these episodes as a volunteer producer for Rogers Television and to support the North Island Wildlife Recovery Center in Arrington. And I mentioned before, these episodes are no tutorials. I made them just to give you an idea what you can do with oil paint. A natural, safe product. And if you want to learn a few new exciting techniques, you are more than welcome to visit our Academy of Music and Art in Qualicum Beach. I teach here oil paint techniques in the style of the Dutch masters. We do this in very small groups, and you will learn some great techniques almost 101. And above all, we have the biggest fun. So if you want to learn something special, give us a call or take a look at the website and drop us an email. And yes, we are in Qualicum Beach. Parksville is still in the name, but it was impossible to change it up. And just if you think it's all done, it's starting all over again. Yes, his body is covered with his typical little dark feathers. It's an amazing piece of artwork, our little friend. He's not really little. I wonder who invented such a magnificent piece of power, strength and beauty. This species is something to be proud of, and let's be very careful with it. It's a great luck for him and for us that he lives in not too overcrowded areas. So that will help this species to keep going and stay alive. Now look how that feather pack is growing. One by one we plant the feathers in, and don't forget to make them round, following the round shapes of the legs and the body. On the left side of this, his right side, we can add some highlights, and on the shadow side we keep it more darker. And yes, you probably already know there is another side of the body to cover with hundreds of tattoos. But, admit it, when you saw this grey bleach ghost for the very first time, you probably were thinking, Michael, what the heck are you doing on that canvas? So this is something to remind. Never ever show your painting to people, friends or family when it is not finished. They have no clue how it works, certainly if you work with layers, and they will be disappointed and leave you behind with a discouraged mind. Yes, I do it because I have to show you how it works, but I don't care because I know how it will be at the end. Although, most of the time. So we give our friend a few claws. And lucky enough, his nails are hidden behind the feather pack. I hate painting claws. Not really, but it's such a work. Now let's paint a few more light feathers. And yes, slowly it's gonna look like a cozy, warm feather pack. And let's give him a few highlights. And don't forget to blend it in with a soft aftertouch. Yeah, we are almost there, and see how the body seems to come loose from the background. By keeping the background mountains misty and hazy and painting the owl with sharp, dark and light colors, it looks almost like a 3D. And yes, he will be flying for real. No, almost for real. There's still a bit more work to do on his head. We add more highlights where you think it's necessary. Do it with a small brush, small little feathers, and also more shadows in the eye corners and below the moustache. And yes, we can finally start at this big moustache. But before we move on, you earned a little break. Let's dive into the love life of our beautiful friend. And here he is, the master of the sky, sitting on his pole. He loves to hunt during the cool nightlife in winter, but in summertime he shows up by day too. He is not a picky eater, he is an opportunist. If there's lemmings, which is his favorite food, he eats lemmings. But if not available, no worries. A tasty duck as an appetizer will go in just as well. However, his favorite sport is flying low and picking careless mouse from the snow. Easy and so tasty, yes. Life can be hard, a bit cruel, but remember, he cannot go to the butcher and say, "Hey butcher, 200 grams of mouse. Thin cut please, thank you." And now about family life. Nobody knows it, but this handsome guy is a playboy. Every year, he chooses the hottest chick of the neighborhood and give her a nest of beautiful kids. But after a while he gets sick of all those jangling kids. He leaves the family and goes for new adventures. Yes, he is a rolling stone and bad to the bone. Nah, not really, but it is a good rhyming. Anyway, for us painters, it is a challenge to paint this majestic flight and beautiful feather pack. Let's go back to our painting. Yes, we still have a lot of work to do. And he is quite a character. We do a little ring around his cheeks and then it's finally time to do his moustache. Let's go a little bit closer so you can see what I paint. With very light hairs, we going in and build up all the very small feathers. It's a little bit of a tedious work, but you can do it. Lean your hand on the stick and go one by one. However, there is one thing to keep in mind. He is flying, so the feathers of the moustache are going flat on his face or his beak. They don't stand out like he is sitting on a branch. And most of the time these owls are painting sitting on a fence or a branch with hanging out moustache feathers. And for now we can do a few aftertouches with the highlight color where necessary. Check out the edges of the colors and give those a bit more highlight also. And check out all the important parts like the tail, under feathers and so forth. And it might be a good idea to put the painting away for a few days and then look at it with a fresh eye. Or, even better, take a look at it in the mirror. Just go to the bathroom, hold them in the mirror, and this is the best you can do to check composition mistakes or other little failures. And when you think it's enough indeed. But I had the idea to put a few far away trees in the distance. Very gray, very far away, nothing special. In a mountain slope, I painted off camera some background snow, very light, and a few trial trees. Now let me show you how it works. With a stick as a ruler, you first draw a straight line, and this will be the tree trunk. But remember, we paint the first row of trees with a very soft gray tone, as they almost disappear into the mist. Some are hardly visible. And you can do a whole bunch if you want, but make them uneven and make differences in height also. Believe me, there is nothing more terrible than a wild mountain forest with manicured, even sizes. Let's not fly into that trap. So if you want to do a complete forest, go ahead. And it's a good exercise too. However, to create depth, it might be a good idea to paint a few darker big trees in front of these soft painted trees in the back. And that will create a contrast. We don't need to add colors, it's almost a silhouette, so just go for a bit darker gray. So actually we do the whole trick all over again. I use the palette stick as a ruler, make a sturdy tree trunk, and we can even give it a tiny bit of light with burnt sienna. And then we gonna paint all the lovely branches, and again, I said it before, make them uneven. Sometimes they have a bad year, they don't grow. Sometimes they have a very good year and they grow all the way. And when I paint trees, I make little stories about them. When I walk through Cathedral Grove or the Milner Gardens and I see a fallen tree, I try to count the rings. Sometimes I come up to 120 or 150 or maybe 200 rings and I think, oh boy, my fallen friend, you have seen a lot of history coming by. And some of those trees are so old, they were born or raised up long before Napoleon entered the world. So if you ever see me counting rings in the forest, don't think he's lost his marbles, no. I'm just dreaming away in history. And you know what? Painters, they are allowed to be a bit different. Or maybe a bit strange, whatever. We're almost done with this painting, but let's do a few more little trees. And before I forget, I got a little surprise for you. If you want to see this painting live, you can visit us for a meet and greet on the She Sells Market, Saturday, October 25 in Parksville in the Community Center. And this is on 223 Mills Street, but most of you probably will know where it is. I hope to see you then, and I think this painting for now is done. Enjoy!
Our snow owl is flying away. He doesn't care about cold, snow or wind. He's happy. I hope you like the show. Check out our website. Till the next time, and keep on painting.